Hey, what's going on? This is your boy KLA Cloud the Wanderer. I have a guest. Her name is Angelique Antigone Tally. I said it right? All right.
Antigone, but we'll take it. We'll take it.
Antigone?
Yeah,
Antigone?
yeah, Antigone. Mm,
Oh, okay. All right.
yeah.
Okay. How you got happen to get that name from your parents?
Oh,
Like on what? How,
oh, that's my stage name. So when I used to do theater, Antigone is what I used to go out
yeah,
on
that's right.
auditions on.
Yeah, that's right. You're an actress. Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Yeah, I was gonna cover that too, as well. Yeah, that's very interesting. But first, well, we'll get into the bodybuilding part. How you got into to bodybuilding?
And so it's kind of a funny story. I remember being in college and I watched Pumping Iron, the famous like bodybuilding movie with Arnold Schwarzenegger. I watched that my junior year in college, and I became obsessed with bodybuilding. Always associated bodybuilding as like a bunch of like scary, like sweaty men. But when I saw that movie, I'm like, oh my god, this is like an art. And so I never had looked at bodybuilding like an art before until I watched that movie.
Wow, that's very interesting.
Yeah.
What was it about pumping iron that make that encouraged you or inspired you? If you can,
Yeah. It's weird because I grew up like knowing Arnold Schwarzenegger as like the movie star. I didn't grow up knowing him. I mean, I wasn't born yet, but I didn't grow up with knowing if he was a bodybuilder. So when I watched that movie, I'm like, he had like the charisma, he had the confidence, and it was something I was just drawn to.
mm,
And then being an actor, you have to be like really confident in anything that you do. And so he kind of just I
yeah,
don't even know how to describe it, but he kind of like
yeah,
drew me in as far as
encouraged
that.
you,
Yeah.
like it inspired it and stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah. Wow. By any chance you ever seen like Pumping Iron 2?
No, never seen it. Only
Yeah,
seen the first one.
yeah, they got a Pumping Iron 2. I don't know if you're aware, but I recently seen Pumping Iron 2. Like it's
Oh,
with
okay.
Rachel McLish, Beth Francis,
Hmm.
Carla Dunlap. She won that competition. She's a sister, and
Right.
she won that competition. They filmed it in like the 1983
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
competition and oh, you know about it, you know?
Yeah, and so I knew about Pumping Iron too, but I never watched it.
Oh yeah, they
Yeah.
just say, "Oh, I got you." Yeah,
Hmm.
I seen Pumping Iron really like not too long ago. I probably see it months ago. You know,
Okay.
yeah, I
Nice.
just say, yeah, it was interesting. It was very interesting. Yeah,
Hmm.
do you know what's his name? It was a black guy. His name is
Are you talking
his
about
last name Richards. Richards is it's not coming to me.
yeah.
Let me see.
All good.
Yeah, but yeah, like so how did you like get your started on how was what like when you got your start? Was it difficult? Was it a tough start for you?
Yeah, and starting in bodybuilding, it was a little bit off on a rough start. Vegan, firstly, and so it's not really a lot of vegan bodybuilders who compete. And
Right.
so I worked with a coach that really wanted me to kind of like, hey, can you eat meat? Can you eat eggs? Can we, get rid of this vegan diet so you can gain muscle? And I pretty much refused. I was like, no, I want to stay vegan. I hope you will represent me. But she ended up saying like, no, I don't want to represent you because it's too hard to kind of like, I guess, switch her training style to something she doesn't know because she never had a vegan athlete. So I think it was
Mm,
one of those things she just wanted her job to become easier. And I'm like, well, I'm paying you for a service and I expect you to like help me. But when she was like she didn't want to work with me anymore, they set me up with a vegan bodybuilder actually, Angela White. She ended up taking over to be my coach for my first competition. And
uh,
so she was just very much like, oh no, it's actually easy if you just research a little bit more. And like, that's the thing. I'm a certified personal trainer. And with bodybuilding, I didn't know like the science behind like high carb compared to like lower carbs and like how much protein to eat as far as like the way you look on stage. And so she was super helpful when it came to, especially as a vegan competitor, like what works, what doesn't work, because I mean, she lived there herself. So even though it started off rocky, it ended up to be one of the most amazing experiences in my life. Like it was like something out of a movie. And so I'm super grateful, even though I didn't start off great, but it was an amazing experience.
yeah, like I noticed like a lot of bodybuilders, they're not really into the vegan or the vegetarian thing like that. So
Right.
yeah. So yeah, I've spoken to, I would say a lot or chatted with some of them, and they not really into it. So, but
No, no,
that's
I mean fair. I mean
yeah,
fair is one of those things that you really don't know a lot about because it's not many plant-based competitors or it's not many
yeah.
people out there. So I understand. I think some people like want to take it to offense, but I'm like, there's no need to get offended if somebody doesn't understand anything. So yeah, it's cool.
I mean, it's no similar to bodybuilding. It's people that don't understand bodybuilding,
Mm.
and yeah. So, but how did you become a vegan, if you don't mind me asking?
Oh, and so I went vegetarian my sophomore year of college.
Oh, okay.
And it was one of those things to where, first off, at first it was more one of those things to like, okay, maybe I can cut back on like meat so I can like start my fitness journey because I gained a
Yeah.
bunch of weight my freshman year of college. And so, but then I did really something really silly. Me and my friend used to rent videos at like the family home videos, and we ended up like getting a bunch of random movie. But one of the movies in particular was a documentary on slaughterhouses. For the life of me, I can't remember the title. I just remember like the images and everything, and I'm like, I don't want to touch meat again. And so it has such an effect on me where I'm like, yeah, I don't think I ever want to touch meat again. And so the rest is history. I would never tell anybody to like watch that, but it was one of those
How
things
long
that
you?
yeah, what I
uh,
saw, it like turned my stomach.
Yeah, I could imagine. They kind of
Yeah.
like but they slaughter the cows or
Yeah,
crazy
it
stuff.
was like wild store. It was just like a bunch of like gories type of stuff. I'm like, okay, I don't want to, like I said,
Yeah,
I don't even want to get into details. It's a lot.
no,
But it was one of
I
those
got you.
things that, yeah, it was one of those things that I'm honestly grateful that it happened because I did culinary arts in high school. And so eating meat was a big part of what my career was. But when I went to school and started acting and everything, I made like just a career change. And so with that, I discovered my love of like really working out. Like me and my friend, we used to wake up at like 2 a.m., 3 a.m. before class would start and just get a session in the gym. And I just felt like that was always my happy place, even when I was in school. And so that translated over after I finished college. And so, yeah, the rest was pretty history after that.
Okay, okay. Well, we could. How was your competition? Like your first competition?
Oh, so my first competition, like I said, it was kind of like an out of body experience, but it turned out like amazing because I ended up winning my novice class. So I got first place in my novice class. My first ever show, which I'm like, who knew? Because that's the thing, my first coach wasn't as positive with me because I'm not, yeah, I guess you could say regular like bodybuilder. And so my confidence going into it wasn't that high because this is a professional telling me this. And so I was very much like, hey, even if I don't place, let's have a ball. Let's just like, let's enjoy this moment. Because at the time I was like, okay, this is going to be my first and only show. But then I got on stage and fell in love with it. So
Was you nervous? Like to a point where like you're shaking and all that stuff, or?
Believe it or not, no, at no moment on stage was I nervous at all. Like under no circumstance, it just felt to me. It felt like me performing on stage again when I used to act. It felt very much like it was me, but almost like I was like playing a character, and so I kind of fed into that.
Mm. Well, that's cool. That's cool. So your wellness, because I thought you was bikini as because I was interviewing a bikini competitor. That's why a
Mm-hmm.
bikini
Oh no, you
model,
good.
and so I just yeah. So I kind of majority of the times like I mostly like interview bikini competitors because they
Mm-hmm.
respond more a little bit at times. So, but
Yeah.
that's cool that sometimes I'll get wellness. Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
it's my headphone. Is my sound? Do I sound okay?
You know, you sound good. Yeah.
Oh, okay. I just want to make sure. But
Mm-hmm. You're
yeah,
good.
like your wellness, like how long you been doing wellness? If I could ask you that question.
Yeah, and so wellness is actually still quite a new category in bodybuilding.
Yeah,
Um, Wellness originally, and at least
Brazil.
from the history from Brazil, and
Yeah,
so it was gaining a lot of traction there, like small waist, huge legs, huge glutes, and so to me, um, and I hope this isn't the wrong term to use, but I looked at wellness as being like, I guess one of the more like hyper feminine categories. And I think with being a woman bodybuilder, a lot of people tend to attack that, like they attack your femininity. And so with wellness, I wanted to be like as curvy as I possibly could. And I didn't want to like lose any of my femininity for that reason. And so that's pretty much the reason why I chose the category. I'm like, oh my God, to just have like a small waist and like huge legs, why not? Because yeah, I just always associated my curves with yeah my femininity, and so to me, that's what made me want to become a wellness competitor. Because anybody I heard, there's like do bikini or try to go up in weight and be do figure, and I'm just like yeah, I don't want to get that small, but also I know it's gonna take me years to gain that size, and so wellness was just an easier transition for me.
would you like move on to figure or anything like that?
Probably not, because I don't
Oh,
think that, especially since this is well, going into my second year of me bodybuilding. And so usually what I would do is just work out for like just health and wellness. This is the first time I'm like doing like progressive overload, going to failure, going to like into these very technical movements that is required for bodybuilding. And so it's one of those things that I know that that's too much of an unattainable goal to try to reach in bodybuilding. And so I think the category that I'm in now is a good fit for me. Because yeah, it's not a lot of wellness girls out here, and I just want to try to expand the sport as much as I can.
oh, okay. So
Yeah.
you was at the Chicago Pro. Like, how was that for you?
Once again, out of body experience, simply because the Chicago Pro, which is the portion of the show, I was a part of the NPC extravaganza part, which is the like amateur level. And so being around pros and just watching what they do, they don't look real. It's it's hard to describe. It was such a like a starstruck type of moment where I'm like, these are like pro bodybuilders. They've been doing this for years. They have like thousands of followers on Instagram. They have, it was one of those things where I was just like honored to be there and just be among the like the greats. And so it was a really, really good experience.
You did. Have you ever met? Have you met like a favorite bodybuilder?
Honestly, there were a couple there that I wanted to meet. I was just too. I couldn't. I didn't have. I didn't have it in me to walk up to them. But I sent them like a nice message. The ones that I did see there, and I couldn't speak to them in person. I sent them a nice like Instagram message, like, "Hey, saw you at the show. I was too shy to come up to you, but I admire you." So, yeah. I don't know. I get very, very like taken back when it comes to especially people who I look up to so much. So I'll grow out of it eventually.
I mean, I went to the my first bodybuilding show not too long ago, the New York Pro, and I seen a
Mm,
lot of bodybuilders and stuff. So yeah.
yeah,
Like
it's I don't even know how to describe it. It's like you look at them, it's just like you don't look real. It's crazy. And so to be a part
yeah,
of this sport, yeah, it's crazy.
do you have like family and friends that support you doing the sport?
And see, that's the thing. All of my family has been so supportive. I think in the beginning, because bodybuilding can be a little bit taboo. Um, a lot of people think like, "Oh, you taking steroids and things like that?" I'm like, "No, I'm a natural athlete." But unfortunately, yeah, PEDs and everything is a big part of this sport. And so I think the ignorance of it all, people kind of like tried to pick it apart. But then most of my family came to my first show. They saw what it was and they were just like, oh my God, it was nothing what we imagined it would be. And so once again, I don't even think that it's people trying to be rude. I just think it's like the ignorance of it because a lot of people don't know what happens at bodybuilding shows. And so,
Yeah, yeah.
yeah.
I mean, yeah, yeah. I had to, you know, like over the years, I was curious about, bodybuilding and stuff. So, but
Hmm.
I didn't really like had the desire to go to a bodybuilding show because,
Fair. Yeah.
you know, yeah, because the New York Pro where I'm at, it's in New Jersey, and
Hmm.
so I don't know, some like people kept like telling me, yeah, why don't you go to a bodybuilding show, even bodybuilders? So I
Hmm.
just went, and it was all right. I was there late. I came late.
Yeah.
I
Okay.
think I went to with the men's bodybuilder and the bikini, and
Hmm.
yeah, but it was all right. But like with the working out, like you mostly work out with the glutes and the legs and stuff.
Yeah.
Like, is
And
there
so,
like, and I
mm,
was gonna
and
ask, is there
so
any parts that you work out besides that, or
And so my favorite, and this is even before I started bodybuilding, I love doing like shoulder workouts. Shoulders is
yeah,
my favorite muscle group to hit. Simply because, well, a lot of my advantage as a wellness competitor is that my waist is really, really small. And so in bodybuilding, I learned the more you build out your shoulders, the more it creates an illusion for your waist to look even smaller. And so I think from like even building my shoulders, like I would definitely say since I started bodybuilding, maybe like a quarter of an inch, a little bit more than that. But my shape just looks a lot better because I was already fit. But when I started bodybuilding, it completely transferred my body to something I didn't even think that I can achieve. And so, yeah, shoulders is definitely my favorite muscle group to hit besides legs.
yeah. Do you do like calisthenics?
And so see, that's the thing. I when I first started to lift weights, calisthenics is the only thing that I did.
Yeah.
Because once again, I was super naive. I'm like, I don't want to lift weights because I don't want to get big. And so yeah, I started off with calisthenics and literally just like functional movement workouts, like single leg, body weight, push ups, sit ups, pull ups. And so that was like in the beginning of my journey. Um, but yeah, since I started to hit the weights heavier, I don't know. I've enjoyed that a lot more than any other avenue of fitness that I've came across.
Well, we could look at some pictures. Yeah, this is
Yep, that's me.
yeah. I also could switch up the now. What's these awards for?
And so the one is one in my first in novice, wellness novice, and then the second award that I have was second in open. And so the way it's in bodybuilding, at least with the women portion of it, with bikini and wellness, they have certain classes that you have to be in. I'm very short. I'm
Hmm,
4'11", and so my class is the
11?
5'2" and under. Yeah, and so I was in class. I want to say A because those are the shortest girls, and so I got first in my class. and then second in open of all the wellness competitors. And so once again, it was like a really unexpected kind of thing. Like I walked into my first show not anticipating placing at all, and so the fact that I placed at my very first show was crazy.
Hmm. That's interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can ask you a crazy question. Like,
Yeah. Sure.
are they're like women that's tall, like you say like over 5 foot, like 5'6" or 5'8" in
None that
wellness?
I've met.
No,
No, we're
just
all
short.
like really tiny girls. We're really small girls. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Mm,
So I guess that's why you always got to work on your legs and
mm,
glutes and stuff. Okay,
mm.
wow.
And so you see
Yeah, I
how
mean,
all of us are aligned. Yeah, they're literally we were all. I want to say that's the 5'2" and under. Yeah, no, that was the open. This was the open, and so
right.
it's one of those things where you can see we're all pretty tiny. And
Oh,
so, yeah, it's one of those things to where when you're broken up in categories like that, it's just easier. I haven't really met many tall wellness competitors.
right.
Yeah, it
I
just
guess
seems
that'd be a
like,
figure, right?
yeah, right. And so it seems like it. And so, yeah, I've only known girls that are like, yeah, under 5'3".
Hmm. That's interesting. That's interesting. I want to take you to the Instagram for a bit. Let me see.
Hmm.
Hold on for a second. I gotta work on the camera, so you're not
Okay.
gonna see my face. Yeah, I'm still here. I'm still
Yeah.
here. Still here. So yeah, like how many days you work out like in the gym?
So when I'm on prep, 5 days a week. When I'm off prep, 3 days a week.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is just a gif.
Hmm.
This is what was your second show.
This was my first show.
My second show I ever in the
Oh,
books.
if you swipe the photos, because this was me showing
Let
up
me see.
before and after.
Which
Um,
one?
because yeah, it's
Oh,
multiple
that's right.
pictures on
Let
that
me
first post. Yeah.
yeah, let me tell me when to stop.
Oh, so here it's right at the top of the page.
Okay. Um,
Right there.
the
That's the
top?
first one. Uh-huh.
This right
And so
here?
the one that I'm
Okay.
wearing the red bikini, my swimsuit. Yeah, if you click to the right,
It's scrolling.
it'll show you my second show that I just recently did.
No. Which one? Am I at the right Am I at the right spot?
Oh yeah, you went to my fitness history.
Okay.
So here, you see the one where I'm in the striped shirt, the one that's right next to it. Me wearing the swimsuit.
Oh, right here?
Yeah, right there. So if you click it and then click
Okay.
right, yeah,
All right. No.
yeah.
I'm
I don't
a
know. It's having you turn to the reels. Yeah.
well, we don't have to. I probably I'll do it again.
Oh no, you're
Who's
good.
this?
And so Tony is one of the gyms that I work out of. I teach
Okay.
classes at a place called Body Shack in Uptown, and I teach it for free for people in the community.
Oh, yeah, so yeah, you're an online trainer as well, or you're a trainer.
Yeah, I'm a personal trainer. I essentially work as an independent contractor with independent gyms. And so I go where I'm needed. And the gyms that I associate myself with, I'll pay like a rent to like bring my clients to or collaborate with. And so, yeah.
How was that? How was that with the clients and stuff?
Honestly, it's been one of the most amazing experiences. I think the biggest thing about me working for corporate gyms before was that
Right.
I was getting requested outside the gym a lot. And it was one of those things to where when you belong to a corporation, they own you and your services essentially. Um, but recently, this past April, they passed a non compete for independent contractors. So, say if you were a personal trainer, no
Mm-hmm.
company can dictate where your income comes from. And so that was one of the things that kind of like made me continue to work with outside gyms and everything, because I always believe in like working with different avenues of like training. And I travel around Chicago. So Chicago is where I was born and raised. And so I just always wanted to just expand and have more partnerships to work with. And so with working for a corporation, unfortunately you can't do that.
Oh, how was the clients for you?
Oh, it's amazing.
Oh,
Shockingly enough, I've been into business a little bit over a year myself, and yeah, my clientele has been really consistent, shockingly, which in a city like Chicago is very hit and miss.
yeah, yeah. I know, like in Chicago, it's kind of, if I could say it, divisive a bit.
Mm-hmm.
It, yeah, like the blacks on another part, other groups on another part and stuff like that. Yeah.
Mm.
So,
And so it's very, because a lot of times people don't come to Chicago for like beaches or anything like that. People come here for like food, agriculture, things like that. So gyms here, even though there is a market here, depending on the season, the market could be really, really great or it could be really, really bad. And so I've been fortunate enough to, thank God, have a consistent clientele throughout my career. But yeah, Chicago could be a very hard um, avenue to break through simply because it's so up and down here.
is it like what could I say, urban community, or
Yeah,
like different, different set of people you see?
it's honestly God a mixing pot.
Okay.
It's one of those things because I take clients in some of these literally the most expensive places that I've ever set foot in. But then at the same time, I'll go into like what I recently collaborated with. I taught a class with DePaul University, a glute
Oh,
class, and it was all female led. And so it's one of those things where my clientele, thank God, has been diverse throughout my entire career. I've always just been able to work with different avenues and different demographics. And so it's been fortunate enough that I've gained that experience. And so my clientele is a huge mixing pot.
okay. Yeah, that's good. Um, this is your.
That's when I used to act.
So you don't act no more?
I'm not a stage actress anymore. I just do extra work.
What made you
Yeah.
stop?
Cause
Just
stage
stress?
acting is exhausting.
Oh, what makes
And
it
so
exhausting? If I could ask you that question.
high energy, long, really, really long days. Just a lot of things that I found to be like more enjoyable in college. Especially like as I get older, I very much want to enjoy my time and like choose my own schedule and everything. And when you're an actor, you don't get to do that at all. It's very much like go, 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 go. And I'm like, no, I like to have the freedom to control my schedule. So I always love
Yeah.
it though. Acting is always just going to be a part of me, but stage acting, I feel like that's behind me now.
What plays you have done?
I did a couple. I was in Neil Simon's Rumors. I was with in talking with. I was in John Henwi's Antigone. So I've done quite a like few like major roles. But then I try to keep my resume like updated. So that's the reason why I take like small like extra work just to like have something on my resume in case I want to venture back into that. And so, but yeah, any major roles I've had, they've always been on stage, but on TV or anything, that's just been like tree number six essentially. But yeah,
Okay. So you never really like had no interest of doing like TV? or films or nothing like that? Oh, okay.
Mm-mm. Yeah. As
Like
cool as
in
that
like
would sound, I don't think that, yeah, probably not.
yeah, I mean, I know it's tough. Like especially like somebody trying to do Hollywood thing and stuff like that. So,
Hmm.
and then I'm hearing like a whole lot of stories, like how people got into acting and certain
Hmm.
favors had, for other people and
Yeah, and I mean, if this is coming out, because when I finished college, I tried to do the acting thing, but when I saw like how the industry and market is, I'm just like, yeah, I don't want any stress in my life. I don't want to.
yeah,
It's just one of those things to where, yeah, in every industry, it's gonna be favorites, and I think that's the reason why I like the fitness industry. It's a
right,
hustle. If you don't
right,
hustle, you don't make money. And
right.
so it's one of those things to where I never wanted to feel like something was getting handed to me. And so I just like the fact that your clientele, your body, your like product is a reflection of like your work ethic. If you don't work hard, then usually it'll show. And I've known personal trainers that came into the industry who left right back up because they think that like people are supposed to walk up to them and say, "Hey, be my trainer." And I'm like, no, it's nothing like that.
Mm, mm. Yeah. I see you got your what was the feeling like when you got your certificate, the National Academy of Sports Medicine?
Yeah, and so it was really amazing. It was one of those certifications, and so when you're a certified personal trainer, you have to get it updated every 2 years. And so that certification in particular, the
Right.
corrective exercise specialist one, that's a lifetime one, and so it doesn't
Mm.
expire because the human
Wow.
body, yeah, it doesn't like change. Essentially, that is to help you keep your body moving normally, and so. Um, and so that's kind of what motivated me to want to get that certification because functional fitness is something that I've always done. Because my clientele, I started off with like a lot older clientele when I was at LA Fitness, and so that was always an avenue of mine. But then going to a bodybuilding type gym was like complete 180. To me, I feel
Mm.
like I didn't really fit in when I first started simply because I was doing like step ups with this like really fit guy. And so I think we get a certification like that. It is definitely like the groundwork of what the intense training that I do now.
Did it take you long to get this?
Oh, it took, well, for that one, I think I studied, it took me a couple of months, yeah, to like study and everything. Yeah.
What's like an advice for somebody that would want to get to be a personal trainer or a bodybuilder?
I would tell them to purchase a certification because that is your credentials. And so, unfortunately, a lot of times when people try to become trainers, they try to do it like freelance and they try to do it like without any credentials. So, I always tell people no, go through a certification, get the knowledge behind it, and then try to launch your business. Some people feel like, oh, well, I lost weight or I'm reaching my goal, so I should give that information to other people. And I'm like, yeah, but you don't know if that information that you're giving is right for that person. So I always tell people, yeah, educate yourself. I was fortunate enough in college, I took like anatomy classes and biology classes. And so that portion of it did help out. But with getting these certifications, it's a lot of information that you can miss that could be crucial in your clients seeing results. And so I always tell people go out, get certified, and then start.
Mm. Yeah, I noticed that you're doing these plates. Like how many sets do you usually do? Like working out?
So once again, yeah, when I'm in season for bodybuilding, I do 4 to 6 sets in
Oh, okay.
season, but then my off season, I do 3 to 4, just for like maintenance.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, yeah. Yeah, I mean, bodybuilding is a really tough sport, you know. Well, like, is there stuff that you don't like about the sport?
And that's the thing, because me being so new, it's just like there's a few things I don't like about the sport, as far as like the drug use and everything. Um, that seems to be something that I came in naively about. Because I'm thinking, I'm like, oh, this is super attainable for me. But then you look around the room and you're like, oh, like everybody's on it. And so it definitely kind of make you feel like you don't belong there because you're not taking anything. But
Right.
I feel like it's one of those things where it's just like circumstances. Sure, I'm not crazy about the drug epidemic that's happening right now. As far as like, that's one of the reasons why I'm not on TikTok, is because steroid use is something that it seems to be celebrated on social media. And
Yeah.
so to not even shift my attention to those avenues, I do avoid it simply because I'm like, hell, even if I came into the industry obsessed with being skinny, like obsessed with like gaining muscle, as much as I was being skinny, I 1,000% would have tried something myself. And I'm like, that's really dangerous and really like hard to admit. But I'm like, yeah, it's so easy and so attainable now that I'm like, it's a huge problem that I feel like the fitness industry should talk more about, before it becomes a even bigger issue. And so yeah, besides drugs, that's really the number one thing. Every person that I've ever encountered in bodybuilding, thank God, has been amazing to me. But as
Yeah.
far as like the things that these competitors do, at least the ones that get reckless, and they try to tell like, oh, this is how you get big in 6 weeks, and they're doing these like challenges and things like that. I'm like, yeah, I just think that's a irresponsible use of power. And so once
Mm.
again, it's not up for me to like judge, but I wouldn't encourage teenagers to use performance enhancers under any circumstances. So to me, that's the biggest issue in bodybuilding is the drug use.
Yeah. I mean, from what I've learned, like, it's the inevitable, especially in the NPC, because eventually you're gonna have to do it, especially with the other divisions. Like, I know that I've been told, I'm not a bodybuilder, but it's
Mm,
like a small factor, and the majority is you working out, the person's working out and being
mm,
consistent, and the diet and all that stuff. So I don't know.
yeah. And
I
so it's one of those things to where I'm like, I feel like we should have more open conversations about it.
you
But then
know
again, it's still very illegal in the US. And so not a lot of people are comfortable about talking about their drug use. But it's definitely something that I think the more we have those conversations, because NPC, a couple of months ago, they were doing more natural shows and more like
right,
drug tested shows. And I'm like, amazing. Like this is the first step for it to turn into something good. And so I think the fact that they're taking that initiative was amazing. So I feel like people know what's going on, but it's just going to
right.
take a while for everybody to accept it.
Well, I have a friend. He talks with female bodybuilders, and he has like a muscle talk Monday, and he's
Mm,
having something. I don't know if you'll be able to do it, but I could show you. His name is Always George Page, and
mm,
he, he has this. I'm gonna show you this. Talk about steroids in the bodybuilding culture.
mm,
It can be a touchy subject to talk about as a content maker on female bodybuilding. This is something we all need to talk about. Performance enhancers are often used in bodybuilding for recovery, but in society it looks as if the only thing need to grow as a bodybuilder. I would like to hear the thoughts on what steroids contributed to bodybuilding myths and truths that people know and heard about boards. So come join us on Muscle Talk Mondays at 3 p.m. Eastern, 2 p.m. Central, 1 p.m. MST, 12 p.m. 50. Yeah, so he usually tries to like invite. This is his page and stuff. He's
Mm-hmm.
like an advocate for female bodybuilders, and
Mm-hmm.
he usually wants people to talk about their experience in the sport, especially women, because they really don't get that much attention as the men do.
Right.
So yeah, so I usually come in his channel and learn and stuff. Yeah, because
Yeah.
I mean, like myself, you know, I've worked out, but not like to a point where, I want to be a bodybuilder. I did
Right.
calisthenics, meditation, and all that stuff. So, but I had a point where, I would display like women bodybuilders, like a sideshow and stuff like that. Like like I would make videos about women's bodybuilder. I didn't really know like the stuff that they go through, and
Right.
just knowing him, he was teaching me about more to like kind of like in just female bodybuilders and stuff. So if I could say that,
It's a yeah. It's a lot of like the dark stuff in like bodybuilding that people really don't want the public to know about because in a way it's like yeah, you're scaring people away from the sport. And it's not even
yeah,
necessarily about scaring people away from the sport. It's being realistic to what is naturally obtainable and what's unnaturally attainable. And
yeah,
so, me, even hell, even this past weekend of me competing with, once again, girls who have been doing this for ever, and for me to even be a natural competitor and get on that stage, sure, it's scary. So, because, yeah, there's not many people here who are even actually natural. But at the same time, knowing that this is just a sport and knowing that, yeah, there's going to be some disadvantages that you have coming in if you're a natural competitor. You shouldn't blame them or you shouldn't complain or no, it's you came into this sport. So you have to understand that, yeah, there are certain things you're just not going to be able to achieve on your own.
yeah,
Um, but at the same time, of course, not being like negative or oh, I should have won because I was no, it's the sport, and so I think that's what people get hung up with natural competitors who try to compete at NPC, where it was like, yeah, it's unfair. I'm like, yeah, it is, but once again, this is just a federation. If people wanted to compete, there are like drug tested organizations, and NPC are adding
yeah.
more drug tested organizations, and so you don't have to be a bodybuilder, or I'm sorry, you don't have to take PEDs to be a competitor. And so people's
Have,
like, oh well, I have to. I'm like, you don't. So
have
yeah,
have you ever heard of the OCD?
yeah, I've heard of it. I'm doing a OCB show this 20 November
Oh,
twenty
okay.
third. Yeah.
Oh, okay. Yeah. I was thinking about going to an OCB show right here in New York City. It's in Brooklyn and stuff. I'm not certain if I'm able to go, but because
Hmm.
the tickets it ran out and then you had to pay and stuff
Hmm.
like when I get there. So, but yeah, I'm thinking about going. Yeah.
Yeah.
It it's like competing in the NPC. Like how far do you see yourself competing?
Um, at least into the point where I don't enjoy it anymore. I think since I'm so new to this sport, I've still got a lot of time in me to compete. And that's the thing. Like this is my second show that I've done in a year. And this is gonna be my third show this November. And so me being a natural competitor, I need at least 12 to 18 months in order to grow and see like noticeable differences in my body. And so unfortunately I can't compete as much as I would like to. But
Right.
that kind of comes with it, with honestly being a part of a sport. You know that you're not going to make changes that you need to make as quickly as you would like, but once again, it's all about as long as you make some improvements, that's really all I care about.
Yeah. 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 We might as well you yeah, yeah, there was somebody what's his name? Robbie Robinson. You ever heard of him?
Robbie
Yeah, this is what the guy
Robertson.
was. This was this
Oh yeah,
this was
yeah,
the
yeah,
guy was.
yeah.
Yeah, this was the guy I was trying to
Okay.
mention. Yeah, yeah. Yeah, I would say him with the interviews and stuff.
Okay.
Competed. Yeah. So this is Pumping Iron 2. This is on the YouTube channel. So
Mm.
just in case you wanna check it out.
Okay.
We ain't gonna watch the whole thing, but
Oh no, no, yeah.
so sorry about that. Let me see.
No, you're good.
Mm, So I'm a fast forward it to the women they competing and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, this is well, you know who she is, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
And see, I've never seen Pumping Iron 2.
Yeah, this
Even
that
watching the way the sport has kind of like evolved from
right.
even being in the 80s is crazy.
Yeah, I mean, I noticed that the things that they was going through back then, they still going through now. With
Oh, 1,000%.
yeah, how the women look and stuff. Because this lady, Beth Francis, she was kind of looked down upon. The way how
Yeah.
she looked. You
Yeah.
know,
Because I think a lot of like women figure competitors, especially the initial idea that they had going off is that they wanted to be more feminine looking, but more like built. And
right,
especially, and being just a woman, we naturally can't do that. And so I think a lot of women competitors back then just wanted to go what the judges were looking for. And unfortunately, it just kind of like it's one of those things that went too far. Um, and it's just really, really unfortunate. But once again, that's a part of the sport, is messed up as it sounds, but yeah,
like
it is what it is.
if you had the power, like what would you change about bodybuilding for the women or the men?
Um, Compared to, well, I would definitely change the fact that because I get that the men's league has been around longer than women, so that's one thing. But I wish that the cash prizes for women match what it did for men too.
Yeah,
Um, like, and it doesn't even have to be the exact amount. At least be like somewhat the same. But that's like a huge thing. Not encouraging women to do performance enhancers because, and it's not even in a selfish way, but performance enhancers just make men more men like when they
right,
take it. But when women take it, it makes now feminine women become men. And I don't think that any person should convince or try to convey a woman to take PEDs and put anything like that in her body unless it's medically prescribed. And so, yeah, that's the only thing is that better pay and telling women not to use PEDs because no woman should use PEDs.
yeah. I've heard about this thing called PEDs. I don't know
Pets,
if
yeah,
I'm
yeah, yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
yeah. I heard like at a certain point, they still the women they start growing like growing hair on like
Oh
in
yeah.
their chin and all that stuff.
Not only facial hair, of course, facial structure, that changes.
Yeah,
Voice gets
yeah,
deeper,
but
low libido, infertility. There's a lot of negative side effects. Um, yeah, and so it's one of those things to where in most, I don't know if you've ever looked her up, but there's this woman bodybuilder who now presents herself as man presenting simply because she was like,
Yeah,
yeah, I took my PED use too far to the point where she ended up growing male genitalia.
yeah.
Um,
I've heard of that before. Yeah, I've
yeah,
heard.
and so it's one of those things to where I'm like, unless more people like talk about it, it's gonna become like a mainstream thing. And when I tell you TikTok, these aren't like 21, 22, 23. This is like 15, 16, 17-year old
Right.
boys and girls putting drugs in their body. And it's really awful to see right now.
Yeah, yeah. I'll fast forward a little bit.
Oh no,
So
yeah.
so this is one of the judges stuff. He had an issue with her with the her bikini. It was kind of nylon or something like that, and so she had to get another one. So you know, let's say if you was in those if you was in those times, would you still be competing? Would you compete?
Probably not.
Mm.
Probably
Even if
not.
they looked alike, even if even at her stature.
And that's the thing. It's kind of like a trick question simply because as much as I would have loved to compete, I find that a lot of the women, because I don't know if you've ever seen the documentary Killer Sally, back then in the 70s and 80s, a lot of what women bodybuilder did was dictate by their like male partners and everything. And so I feel like during that time, it was either follow along with the trend or get left behind. And so, if anything, right now, I like the fact that I have the freedom to where it's like, oh, I can choose to stay a natural athlete and not worry about my career being in jeopardy. Back then, I don't think they really had much of a choice. I feel like they was just trying to find a way to be respected and a way to live. And so, back then, I feel like they didn't really have a lot of freedom when it comes to the choices that they made. And so, yeah, I think it would have been a really hard thing to be a female bodybuilder during that time.
But that's the funny part. When like during like the 80s and the 90s, it was you would see it on TV. Then
Hmm.
as it is now, now you don't even catch it on regular TV or even
Right.
cable. You know, so I I don't know. Guess because of the steroid factor and stuff and the stigma
Hmm.
of it. So
Because a lot of people, even though some people, it's more mainstream now with bodybuilding, but once again, I think that's just a surge in like social media right now. But people, and especially at least comments that have been even made to me, and me not even being a professional bodybuilder, just like, yeah, don't you think you're going too far? Don't you think that's like a little bit too much muscle? And I'm just like
mm,
crazy. Simply because it's just like, how can you try to dictate the way someone look simply because they just want to lift weight and look good? And so I've been told plenty of times by people, it's just like, oh, you don't want to get too big, you're not going to be able to find a husband, you're not going to be able to find a partner. And so I'm just like, wow, it is really like judgmental. People look at bodybuilders as like, yeah, kind of like what they intended, kind of us being like freaks,
mm,
and to kind of be treated like that. Not, once again, not always, these are only a couple of occasions when this has happened, but it's very much like a, oh, I am an outsider to certain people, because people once again tend to judge something that they don't understand. And so, like I said, it just comes part of the territory.
is there a bodybuilder that you admire, like
Yeah.
from the bodybuilder division, like you would say, like, wow, like Andrea Shaw. Like a lot of people they talk very highly of her. You
Yeah, and
know.
so Linda Murray
Okay.
was one of the first people, especially women of color, that I've seen on stage just in general.
Yeah.
And so, and especially being an African American woman, um, it was one of those things to we're seeing a woman of color being muscular and being hyper feminine too. Unfortunately, a lot of people in the African American community don't agree with it. They don't think that what women should be softer. They should be a little bit like more seen and like not heard. So to watch someone like her be as established as she is in her career and be a trailblazer, uh, I can't even I'm at like I don't think by any means I'm gonna have a career like her, but I'm like, no, she definitely laid the foundation of wanting women bodybuilders to be taken seriously. And so,
Yeah.
yeah, she's definitely up there for me.
Yeah, when I got into like having an interest of looking at, women bodybuilders, I would see her because I've been
Yeah,
looking at it since like the 90s and stuff.
right.
And she stood out for me. And Laura Cravell, I don't know
Yeah.
if you
It's
heard of
some
her.
right. It's just and it's kind of hard to kind of pinpoint it because you look at stars like her and there's been
Yeah,
plenty of like bodybuilding celebrities and things like that, but it was competitors like her that drew you in, that caught your eye,
yeah.
and you're just like, it's something about it. I can't explain it. And in bodybuilding, a lot of it is that it has to be something that's unique about you to have the judges you have to like draw them in to make them special because it's not like we do like because a lot of people's like, oh, do you guys do like tricks, do you guys do like exercises? I'm like, no, it's really whoever has the best stage presence. And Linda Murray, she is unmatched. It's
Do
just
you
like her presence, it's I don't know how to describe, very much like Arnold. I don't know how to describe it. It's just like an aura about them.
is there anybody like in wellness that you kind of like was inspired?
Oh, so there was a couple of wellness girls who inspired me a lot, and they're, I mean, all Brazilian competitors, but um, and I'm gonna butcher her name, but Frances, I want to say is her name. She was the first ever overall winner at the Olympia
Right.
when they first brought wellness, and so I remember seeing a photo of her, the second competitor, Issa, and then there was a third competitor, and she's actually pretty tall, Angela, and they're all Brazilian. I remember seeing a photo of all three of them on stage back in 2019, 2018, and I thought that their pictures were photoshopped. I'm like, because when I looked at women bodybuilding, I thought of like the figure girls, I thought of like the big girls, and so at first I didn't think the picture was real until somebody was like, "Oh yeah, that's wellness," and I'm like, "What's wellness?" But yeah, I think their bodies and the way that they look, I was 1,000%. I'm like, "What category is this? I want to be in this category." So because of like I said, me having like really big legs and like a small waist, I wanted to like imitate that as much as I can. And so yeah, I saw those three competitors and I was just very much like a I want to do wellness. I'm like, I don't want to do bikini, I don't want to do face, I want to do wellness from seeing that photo of the three of them.
Do you have like clients that kind of emulate your role to wanting to work out than to do bodybuilding?
I'm sorry, you repeat that? It broke up a little bit. You said, do I have clients
Do
that
you have like a clients like clients that you work with that kind of that's inspired by you to wanting
yeah.
to do bodybuilding?
And so, yeah, I've actually had a couple of clients who ask me about bodybuilding. My women clients, my male clients, and they're just kind of like, would you recommend it? And there's always like a tricky question to answer for them simply because with being a bodybuilder, it is so mentally challenging. And I think that's what people don't go into it. They see like show day, they see the hair, they see the nails, they see the makeup, they see all that. But I'm like, no, this is a lot of like breaking down, crying in the gym. This is a lot of like training for months and months on end. This is a lot of like wanting to give up. Um, the 2 days prior of my show, I had to stop drinking water to look as like dry as I possibly can on stage. It's just like this is a really, really difficult sport to get into. And so when I tell
Right.
people, I'm like, hey, if you need something to mentally challenge you, if you feel like you want to push your absolute limits, go for it. But I'm like, if you don't feel like this would help you anyway, because it is all mental at the end of the day, I honestly wouldn't recommend bodybuilding for someone who doesn't want to commit to it fully. And so I always
Yeah,
tell people, I encourage them, I'm like, hey, go for it, but know your limits.
yeah. I mean, I mean, me personally, I don't think I would want to be a bodybuilder. If I ever did, it wouldn't be long. It wouldn't be
Right, fair.
because especially like the stuff that well I know with the men it's not they don't spend a whole lot, but with the women, you guys got makeup and jewelry and
Mm-hmm.
suits and all that stuff. And and I'd be like, wow, why is she doing this? Like, why don't she
Mm-hmm.
just be a fitness trainer or just work
Right.
out? But I've heard like, a lot of a lot of the competitors they like they like the competition. They like
Yeah.
competing.
I
Yeah,
love to compete. And like that's the thing. It's not even because I mean anybody that doesn't know about bodybuilding, a lot of these shows, it's not like you earn money or anything. A lot of it is
yeah,
just like good like competitive fun, like good competitive nature, like wanting to perform. It's the feeling of it. And I think if you have a passion for the sport and that's something you want to chase, I say hell, go shoot for the stars. But if anybody try to go into bodybuilding thinking it's gonna be lucrative, it isn't.
yeah. I've heard that at certain point that they was thinking about putting bodybuilding in Olympics, but they didn't really know how that was gonna go, you know.
Hmm.
So yeah, I mean it's really, like me trying to like learn it. It's really
Hmm.
not easy at like trying to get things like especially with the what was the thing I had try issue with the point system.
Right, yeah.
Yeah, it's like you have to do a number of shows to get points to go to the Olympia and stuff.
Hmm.
I don't know if I'm saying that right,
Oh
but I
no, yeah, no, you're yeah, you spot on. Yeah, you do have to qualify. You have to do so many shows to be able to qualify for the Olympia.
yeah,
Um, and I know some competitors that do a show every other weekend to try to accumulate that many points. And to constantly have your body in that mode of like I like to call it like prep brain. It's
right,
crazy. Um, Being food deprived, water deprived. It's like it's the most extreme of healthy you can be. And so to do that year round, like I said, I have respect for anybody who can do that.
right,
But it takes a level of discipline to be able to do something like that. And so I'm like, yeah, a show a year for me, fantastic.
right. So like so you said you're not gonna really compete the rest of the year? Um,
And NPC, yeah,
you-
NPC. I'm gonna take about yeah year and a half to try to grow my legs because my critique was I need more definition and more size in my legs. And so I know it's going to take me a while to develop. And so I probably won't do an NPC show until 2026. But I'm doing an OCB show this November to try to go for my natural pro card.
okay, yeah. I mean, best of luck on that.
Yeah, thank
Yeah,
you.
yeah. Is there like some expectation you see?
Honestly, top three. This being my first OCB show, I want to try to aim for top three out of the whole thing. And so fingers crossed. In a
Yeah,
perfect world, pro card, but top three is what I'm gonna aim for.
Yeah, I hope you do get your pro card. You know, I mean, it seemed like it's suited for you. You know, because it's natural. You seem like a
Yeah,
natural bodybuilder. You're vegan, and you know,
yeah,
because the NPC. You know, like if you ask somebody, I mean, even IFBB, you ask them, "Are you a vegetarian?" Majority of them are shake their heads and stuff. So
yeah. Fair, fair, fair. And so that's the reason why I feel like if I have a good chance of like going for a pro card, I feel like now is the time to do so. But as far
yeah.
as NPC, I feel like I'm always going to do their shows because they are just like so much fun. I really love the federation. I love the spectacle of it all. I have some of the best friends that's in bodybuilding who are NPC competitors, so I use it very much as like a social thing.
What's the fun part if you can break it down to me a little bit?
It's about. I mean, it seems weird to you simply because it's like trading. Like, hey, what did you do for your high carb days? Like, what did you do for like supplement? It's like we have like very boring conversations
Mhm.
about prep, about like our food, about like how we feel, about how much water we were able to drink. Um, it sounds like silly as hell for people like listening to it, but it's so interesting to how just competitor to competitor, their prep can look completely different and we're in the same category. And I'm just
Mm.
like, oh, that's so interesting the way your body like breaks down pretzels. That's so interesting. You know, it's just it's one of those things to where it's just like it's tedious information, but it's interesting information simply because they're different from you. So I think you're just curious. The week of my competition, I was eating 3,000 calories and I got so many inboxes like, what is your coach having you do? Like, is he crazy? I'm like, no, God, everybody don't freak out. I'm like, yeah, my body just responds better when I eat more. And so I think with trading stories of like how our prep went, it's kind of nerdy, but that's really what we trade off as far as like meeting up with people, doing like workouts, just really creating genuine friendships that I didn't think that I would be able to develop at this stage in my career. So it's been really rewarding.
Yeah, I thought you was gonna say about being on stage. That was the fun part. But
Oh my God, so much. Oh my God. Being on stage is so much. It is so much fun.
but you guys don't
I
stay that
love
long. You have what, like 15 minutes to do certain poses or something like that?
15 seconds.
15 seconds?
And it's
Yeah,
very much a side pose, back pose, quarter
yeah,
turn, and then you're gone. But to me, it feel like I'm up there for like 10 minutes. To me, it just seems like such an out of body experience. I think looking at the judges are also really funny because you can tell that they're like trying really hard to
right.
like try to tell you and a different girl, and they're telling you, okay, turn this way, turn that way. And so I think with interacting with judges and everything, that's what makes it fun. Even though some people get scared by it, but I'm like,
Yeah,
hey, whatever I need to do to improve, let me know.
yeah. I mean, as long as you enjoying it and you having fun, I mean, you know, the world is yours.
Yeah.
Yeah. Do you have like kids? Are you married or
And
or
so
is it?
I don't have kids and I am separated right now.
Oh, okay. So
Yeah.
they really are not affected by. They're not in your world like that. To
Yeah,
for the body.
my me and my ex-husband now cuz we co-own a building right now, and so we communicate ever so often, but he was actually not one of those first people that really wanted me to do bodybuilding because he kind of looked at it as being hypersexual. Um, and it was just one of those things to where our careers were pulling us in different directions. And so, as much as I would have loved for us to work out, it was one of those things to where I know that this profession is where I'm meant to be. Um, and yeah, I'm just like not willing to change that. And so, it is what it is.
Yeah, I mean, but best wishes to you. You know.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah. Well, I'm gonna let you go. I don't want to take too much of your time, but I did appreciate you giving me the opportunity to talk with you. And if you want to do it again in the future, especially like after your first OCB
Okay,
competition,
cool.
yeah, no doubt.
All right, awesome. Thank you for taking the time to talk to me too. I appreciate it.
It's not a problem. It's not. You responded, and I really appreciate that.
Yeah, of
So,
course. Well, I hope you have a good rest of your day. I gotta head to a client, but yeah, have a good rest of your weekend too.
all right, no doubt.
All right.
Thank you.
Bye. Thank you.
Bye. Bye.